Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. Let us start today's satsang with a prayer by Sapna Ganesh, which will be followed by the chanting of Mukta Katrayam by Sri Nandakumarji.
दक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां शुक्लां वरदरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय. Namo Ramana to everyone.
एकम् अक्षरम् हृदि निरन्तरम् भासते स्वयम् लिख्यते कथम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहं इति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा त्वं चिन्वता मुच्यता वा पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो त्वम् देहं मृण्मयमज्जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तभावशक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरदियः दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम् सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Upadesha Saram by Uma Shripati and Srimati Ashwini Balaji.
नमो रमण प्राप्यते परं कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जडम् पतनकारणं फलमशाश्वतं गतिरो ईश्वरार्पितं देशया कृतं चित्तशोधकं मुक्तिसाधकं कायवाङ्मना कार्यमुत्तमं पूजनं जप चिन्तनं क्रमात् जगत ईषदी युक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिदेवपूजनम् उत्तमस्तवादुच्चमण्डत चित्तजं जप ध्यानमुत्तमम् हरया स्रोतसासमम् चरणचिन्तनं विरलतः परं वेदभावना सोऽहमित्यसौ भावनाविदा पावनीमत भावशून्य सद्भावसुस्थिति भावनाबलात् भक्तिरुत्तमा हृत्स्थले मनः स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्तियोगबोधश्च निश्चितम् नमो नमः
Namo Ramana. We will now have the presentations of Ramananjali Sangeetam by Srimati V. Radha along with Vallabh. After that, we will have one more song by Savitri Krishnan and Sri Jai Sri Ram Krishnan. That will be followed by another song by Kumari Revathi Shankar.
Namo Ramana to all. This is a composition of KVS Mama, who's called as KVS Mama, and his name is KV Subramaniam. Gomata Shri Lakshmamma Yammai Paramma Gomata Shri Lakshmamma Yammai Paramma Un Tandai Shri Ramanan Unnai பார்த்தது போல் கோமாதா ஸ்ரீலக்ஷ்மம்மா யமை பாரம்மா உன் தந்தை ஸ்ரீரமணன் உன்னை பார்த்தது போல் கோமாதா ஸ்ரீலக்ஷ்மம்மா தாமதமில்லாத தயவுடன் வந்த கருணை பாசுரியும் உன்னழகிய இரு தாமரை கண்கள் ரமணனின் செல்வமே தந்த விக்கிரமே பக்தரத்னமே கோமாதா ஸ்ரீலக்ஷ்மம்மா நடமாடும் நாரத பக்தி சூத்திரமே ரமண தேவனின் அன்பு தீனியே அசை போட்டு ஆனந்த குரல் எழுப்பும் காமதேனுவே கற்பக தருவே கோமாதா ஸ்ரீலக்ஷ்மம்மா பக்தர்கள் கூட்டத்தின் தலைவியவார சித்தர்கள் வியக்கும் சித்திகள் காட்ட முக்தியின் சார்பாகவே பாவும் பெற்றார் உத்தம பக்தைய ஓடோடி வாராய் கோமாதா ஸ்ரீலக்ஷ்மம்மா. நாதனை காண ஓடோடி வந்தார் ஜெயந்தி தினம் பார்த்து கன்றுகளீர தந்தையின் கரங்களில் முக்தியும் பெற்றார் பக்தி லட்சணம் புகட்ட வருவார் கோமாதா ஸ்ரீலக்ஷ்மம்மா. எம்மை பாரம்மா உன் தந்தை ஸ்ரீரமணன் உன்னை பார்த்தது போல் கோமாதா ஸ்ரீலக்ஷ்மம்மா. லக்ஷ்மி லக்ஷ்மி நமோ ரமಣ.
श्री सर्वधारी संवत्सरं शेर मिथुनमासमञ्जा शुक्रवासरमासिर पक्षत् द्वादशि विशाखं पशुवाया लक्ष्मी विमुक्तनाना पशुवाया लक्ष्मी विमुक्तनाना लक्ष्मी विमुक्तनाना विमुक्तनाना मुक्तनाना मुक्तनाना. जन्मनाशवा तरुदावुदु कर्मवासने ತೊಳೆವುದಾವುದು. ಜನ್ಮನಾಶವಾ ತರುವುದಾವುದು ಕರ್ಮವಾಸನೆ ತೊಳೆವುದಾವುದು. ಎಲ್ಲ ದುಃಖವ ಅಳಿವುದಾವುದು ಒಳಿತು ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ರಮಣ ನಾಮವು. ಜನ್ಮನಾಶವ ತರುವುದಾವುದು ಕರ್ಮವಾಸನೆ ತೊಳೆವುದಾವುದು. ಕೇಡನೆಲ್ಲವ ಸುಡುವುದಾವುದು ಸಾಧನ ಬಲ ಕೊಡುವುದಾವುದು. ಚಿತ್ತದಾವುದು ಶಿವಮಯವಾದುದು ತಾನೇ ದೈವವು ರಮಣ ನಾಮವು. ಜನ್ಮನಾಶವ ತರುವುದಾವುದು ಕರ್ಮವಾಸನೆ ತೊಳೆವುದಾವುದು. ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ವಿಷ್ಣುವ ಬೆರಗುಗೈದುದು ಮಾಯ ಜಾರಿಸಿ ಮುಕ್ತಿಯುವುದು. ಕರುವಿನ ತಾಯನು ಪ್ರೇಮದೇವುದು ಮಂಗಳಾತ್ಮಕ ರಮಣ ನಾಮವು. ಜನ್ಮನಾಶವ ತರುವುದಾವುದು ಕರ್ಮವಾಸನೆ ತೊಳೆವುದಾವುದು. ತಂದೆಯಾವುದು ಜನ್ಮನಾಶವ ತರುವುದಾವುದು ಕರ್ಮವಾಸನೆ ತೊಳೆಯುವುದಾವುದು ಜನ್ಮನಾಶವ ತರುವುದಾವುದು ಕರ್ಮವಾಸನೆ ತೊಳೆಯುವುದಾವುದು ಎಲ್ಲ ದುಃಖವ ಅಳೆಯುವುದಾವುದು ಒಳಿತು ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ರಮಣ ನಾಮವು ಜನ್ಮನಾಶವ ತರುವುದಾವುದು ಕರ್ಮವಾಸನೆ ತೊಳೆಯುವುದಾವುದು ರಮಣ ನಾಮವು. ಓಂ ನಮೋ ಭಗವತೆ ಶ್ರೀ ರಮಣಾಯ.
Namo Ramana. Tomorrow we are celebrating Cow Lakshmi's Day. So Radha Madam and Savitri Akka and Jayashree Ram Anna have sung remembering Cow Lakshmi. I too would like to remember Cow Lakshmi on this day. When we say Cow Lakshmi, the first thing we remember is her surrender. So when there is a ballet in which a scene of Cow Lakshmi has been presented and all the cows, it's imagined that all the cows come to Cow Lakshmi and ask her, how was the darshan? Please tell us, O Gomata Lakshmi, Bhagyada Lakshmi, please tell us how the darshan was. When you saw Bhagavan, how did you feel? Please tell us also that wonderful moment. Explain it to us. So she sings, ಅವನ ಚೆಲುವ ಮೊಗವನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೇನು ಕಂಗಳು ಕಾಣಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವನ ಚೆಲುವ ಮೊಗವನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೇನು ಕಂಗಳು ಕಾಣಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವನ ಮಧುರ ಧ್ವನಿಯ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೇನು ಕಿವಿಗಳು ಕೇಳಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವನ ಮಧುರ ಧ್ವನಿಯ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೇನು ಕಿವಿಗಳು ಕೇಳಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವನ ಕರುಣೆ ಸ್ಪರುಶವ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೇನು ದೇಹವು ಅರಿಯಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವನ ಪಾದ ಕಮಲಗಳಲ್ಲದೆ ಯಾವ ಚಿಂತೆಯೂ ಮನ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ. ರಮಣನೇ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಅಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಬೇರೇನು ಎದೆಯನು ಮುಟ್ಟಲಿಲ್ಲ. ರಮಣನೇ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಅಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಬೇರೇನು ಎದೆಯನು ಮುಟ್ಟಲಿಲ್ಲ. This is how she was. She didn't see anything else other than Bhagavan. She didn't hear any other voice other than Bhagavan's voice. She only felt the touch of Bhagavan. And when she saw the Pada Kamala, the feet of Bhagavan, nothing else came to her mind. It was only his feet she could remember. And then, when Ramana is everything, how can anything touch the heart? There was only Ramana, she explains. And when her time of departure came, Bhagavan came to her to the Goshala and she said, Amma Lakshmi, I have to go. Everybody is waiting for me. Shall I leave? Then the poet Dr. Sharda here writes, it was everything, everywhere she could see only Bhagavan, and where else she will merge. ಆಕಾಶದುದ್ದಕ್ಕೂ ನೀನೇ ಹಬ್ಬಿರುವೆ, ಈ ನೆಲವನೆಲ್ಲ ನೀನೇ ತುಂಬಿರುವೆ. ಆಕಾಶದುದ್ದಕ್ಕೂ ನೀನೇ ಹಬ್ಬಿರುವೆ, ಈ ನೆಲವನೆಲ್ಲ ನೀನೇ ತುಂಬಿರುವೆ. ಮರದ ಮೇಗಡೆ ನೀನು, ಮನದ ಒಳಗು ನೀನು, ಮರದ ಮೇಗಡೆ ನೀನು, ಮನದ ಒಳಗು ನೀನು. ನಾ ಕಾಂಬ ನೋಟ, ನಾ ಕೇಳ್ವದನಿ ನೀನು, ನಾ ಕಾಂಬ ನೋಟ, ನಾ ಕೇಳ್ವದನಿ ನೀನು. ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕೂ ನಿಜದನಿಯು ನೀನು, ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕೂ ನಿಜದನಿಯು ನೀನು, ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕೂ ನಿಜದನಿಯು ನೀನು. ಇಂತಿರಲು ಜೀವನ ಅಡಗುವೆನು ಎಲ್ಲಿ, ರಮಣ ಪಾದವಲ್ಲದೆ ಬೇರೆಲ್ಲಿ, ರಮಣ ಪಾದವಲ್ಲದೆ ಬೇರೆಲ್ಲಿ. For one to surrender, there needs to be an individual. But Lakshmi just gave everything and had only Bhagavan in her, not even having her own self. Two devotees were speaking, saying, you should not miss Ramana Jayanti. You should physically be here at the ashram. And the other devotee said, where else can anybody be other than the feet of Bhagavan? Ramana Padavallade, Berelli, where else can all of us go? Nandakumarji was also saying in the beginning, where else can anybody be other than in Arunachala? Kabalita Ghana Vishwarupa Kiranavalya. He has occupied everywhere. He is the sun, he is the light, he is the self. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. We move on to the next section, reading and sharing of the book Forever is in the Now by Sri Nandakumarji.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our Satsang, we continue our readings from this work, Forever is in the Now, the timeless message of Sri Ramana Maharshi, edited and compiled by our own founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajan Mama, in keeping with the guidance given by the earlier presenters. I also read two accounts from Amma Lakshmi before going on to our normal reading. First of all, this is in an account, Knowing Eternity by Pascaline Mallet. She writes, Maharishi's favorite cow, Lakshmi, is a most beautiful creature with delicate horns and almond-shaped eyes. The love she showed her for her master was very touching. As we were sitting in the ashram, we heard noise outside. And to our amazement, up the steps came Lakshmi, as if it was the most natural thing in the world for a cow to enter a room, and went straight to the Maharishi's couch. He at once greeted her most affectionately and ordered that she should be given some plantains to eat. Lakshmi, then quite satisfied, turned around and began to make her way through the crowd, heedless of the people seated on the floor. She was eventually guided out amid general laughter. She it is who gives Maharishi a calf each year on his very birthday. Let science offer explanation if it can. One more gem about Mata. This is by an account by Sri Ramanadasa Sadananda, a small account. When during one of our usual daily visits to the Lord, the cow named Lakshmi, who has now settled down at the ashram itself. So this incident has happened before she permanently came to Bhagavan's ashram. At that time, she was coming to the ashram in the morning and leaving in the evening from the town. This is an account at that time. When during one of our usual daily visits to the Lord, the cow named Lakshmi, who has now settled down at the ashram itself, I don't think I can go on. I'll go back to the normal reading. This is by Dr. M. Anantnarayan Rao, one of the doctors in the ashram. He was the doctor in charge of the dispensary at Sri Ramanacentre for a number of years and a long-standing devotee. What Sri Ramana means to me, Dr. Anantnarayan Rao. Let me try and do my best for Lakshmi Amma. Sorry about this. When during one of her usual daily visits to the Lord, the cow named Lakshmi, who has now settled down at the ashram itself, touched him with her head and waited for a present. Bhagavan asked for some plantain fruits to be given to her, but no fruit was available then. Within a minute of the Lord's demand, 2 big baskets full of excellent, delicious plantain fruits from some hills near Parani were received by the ashramites who had the satisfaction of obeying the Lord's command and feeding Lakshmi Amma at once. I'll read that again. When during one of our usual daily visits to the Lord, the cow named Lakshmi, who has now settled down at the ashram itself, touched him with her head and waited for a present. Bhagavan asked for some plantain fruits to be given to her, but no fruit was available then. Within a minute of the Lord's demand, 2 big baskets full of excellent, delicious plantain fruits from some hills near Parani were received by the ashramites who had the satisfaction of obeying the Lord's command and feeding the cow at once. Today's reading is from Dr. M. Anantnarayan Rao sir's account. The account goes by the title, What Sri Ramana Means to Me. I met Sri Ramana on a certain day in May 1932. He was then sitting on an easy chair in the old hall. His kindly face, his smile, his sparkling eyes come before my mind's eye whenever I think of them. That evening, I saw him sitting in the open space near the ashram well, and a dozen people sitting there. Some of them were in meditation, and some of them asked Sri Ramana questions to solve their difficulties in their spiritual practices. I too asked him a couple of questions about certain happenings when I meditated. His answers were short, clear, and to the point. Here was a person that cleared my doubts in a few moments, which many others to whom I had posed them could not do. I at once felt the greatness of Sri Ramana. My visit to the ashram ended in a couple of days, but I used to visit the ashram off and on when I managed to get leave or during the holidays. And in 1942, I took long leave preparatory to retirement and lived near the ashram in a small house having a good garden. About September that year, 1942, I wished to see Guru Murtam and the adjoining garden where Sri Ramana was first met by his uncle. The garden then was well wooded with mango and other trees. When I saw the garden, I found it almost bare, excepting for a few mango trees still standing and a large well in the garden. The well had a parapet wall, and in that wall was a large niche in which a man could sit comfortably for meditation. There were steps leading to the niche. Someone near the well told me that Sri Ramana used to sit in that niche. I returned to the ashram late in the evening, found Sri Ramana in the hall, and sat there. Since I had taken Sri Ramana's permission to go and see the place, he asked me if I saw it. I then described to him how bare the garden was and also about the niche in the parapet wall of the well and what the man near the well told me. Sri Ramana immediately described to us how the garden was and that the well must have been constructed long after he left the garden and that the man's words were not correct. He said that he used to sit in a small shed in the garden. He then described the condition in which he used to be. He said that at one moment he felt it was morning, and at the very next moment it was evening, and that he was in a blissful state. It at once made me understand that he had no value of time and consequently no value of space. He was beyond this and was in a superconscious condition which was Sat Chit Ananda. He further described to us how happy he was. We, as we heard his description, were transported to a very happy condition. And when he stopped his narrative, we felt as if we were suddenly dropped down to the humdrum life of a busy world. His grace flowed into us and made us so happy. Many people have experienced happiness when they sat in his presence, even without a word being spoken. He had in him this great power. I have had the privilege of massaging his legs, feet, and arms, along with his usual attendants appointed by the ashram authorities. One night, as I was waiting near his couch, I saw him walking slowly. He was massaging his leg as he walked. When he came near the couch, I asked him what had happened, and he said that he had a shooting pain in the thigh up to the hip. I then took his permission to rub the part with some wintergreen oil. He agreed, and I took the oil from the ashram dispensary, made him lie flat on the couch, and rubbed the part with a small quantity of oil. This gave him relief. I then asked him to lie down on the bed and not to recline on the pillows as he usually did. He smiled at me and reclined on his pillows and said in his usual way that he had not slept flat on the ground or on the couch ever since he came to Tiruvannamalai. It is known in the talks that Bhagavan says that the state of God is one of no sleep at all, that those who are in that state of Turiyaga are like that. And Kameshwarji was recounting another great sage's state, and he was recalling Bhagavan's sthiti like this, that Bhagavan says he reclines and has never slept flat on his back. He smiled at me and reclined on his pillows and said in his usual way that he had not slept flat on the ground or on the couch ever since he came to Tiruvannamalai. He also said that he could get in a few moments, as much or more rest than what we could by sleeping on a nice bed for some hours at a time. This puzzled me for some time. Then it struck me that Sri Ramana went into Samadhi, about which we had no experience. How wonderful and natural should that state be? Near the couch of Sri Bhagavan Ramana, there used to be a small shelf which contained a few bottles of medicated oils, etc. and he used to get out one of them when he wanted to rub his knees before he got down from his couch to go out. And Bhagwan used to humorously mention this machine needs oiling from time to time. Once he had a small eczema patch on his foot and leg, and he was getting it dressed daily with an ointment. He wanted some of the ointment to be left on the shelf in a small pot. I went to him that afternoon with a small pot containing the ointment. When I went near him, I heard him snore lightly, and I thought he was asleep. And therefore, I stood thinking whether to keep the pot on the shelf quietly or wait till he awoke. Within a trice, he opened his eyes, smiled, and asked me why I was waiting without handing over the ointment to him. I replied that he was asleep and I did not want to disturb him. He at once asked me how I concluded he was asleep. I mumbled some reply, handed over the pot to him, and sat in the hall along with some others. Sri Ramana Bhagavan again closed his eyes and was snoring lightly. He is referring to the body snoring lightly. And once when Chadwick asks, how does he snore? He says, I allow the body its freedom to snore. At that time, some bhakta, a newcomer to the ashram, came near the couch and prostrated. And he at once opened his eyes and smiled at the newcomer, who went and sat in the hall. Again, Sri Ramana reverted to the sleepy condition. When an ashramite came and prostrated, Sri Bhagavan did not open his eyes, but practically on the ashramite's heels came a newcomer who prostrated, and Sri Bhagavan immediately opened his eyes and saw him and smiled. The reaction of Sri Bhagavan when new men came made me think and believe that he was fully aware, though in a state of samadhi. This state, I believe, is called Sahaja Samadhi. During a certain period of dressing the tumor on his elbow, I had to daily wipe it with rectified spirits. One day, the spirits from the swab flowed on his arm and body. He at once said that he had a spirit bath and that all should have such baths. I did not understand the significance of this and asked him to kindly explain the same to me. He smilingly said that fish are always in water and cannot survive on coming out of it. Similarly, we are in spirit, pure consciousness, and should always be in it as fish in water. In other words, one should always consciously remain in pure consciousness of self. What made me believe that he was always in Sahaja Samadhi. Often on seemingly small matters, he spoke great words of instruction. His instructions and examples were such that one could not forget them. Those instructions had a grip on us. Sri Ramana Bhagavan, as shown in the few incidents narrated, was that which had limited itself in a human body for our sake and to instruct us to be one like himself. Such is our Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We will now have self-enquiry session led by Sri Dilip Simha.
Namo Ramana. ध्यायेत् शारदचन्द्रसुन्दरमुखम् ताम्रारविन्देक्षणम् भक्ताभीष्टवराभयप्रदकरम् कौपीनमात्रोज्ज्वलम् स्वात्मानन्दरसानुभूतिविवशम् सर्वानवद्याङ्गकम् श्रीमन्तं श्रीरमणीयम् ध्यानाध्यासितम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षादात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामच्युतव पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्. We will commence today's Atma Vicharam by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham. I'll be reading from the book Guru Vachaka Kovai, from the chapter, the second chapter, Meditation on the Truth. And the topic is the greatness of Upadesha, the Guru's teaching. Verse 502. The bewildered and confused minds of devotees flow and flee away into the paths of the worthless senses. Be assured that the wise utterance of the one who has taken firm possession of the heart, the Guru, are the excellent signposts to the goal of having their mind abide in the heart, ending their outward flow. I repeat, the bewildered and confused minds of devotees flow and flee away into the pathways of the worthless senses. Be assured that the wise utterance of the one who has taken firm possession of the heart, the Guru, are the excellent signposts to the goal of having their minds abide in the heart, ending their outward flow. When Nandakumarji read out, like the spirit, we are in the spirit, like the fish in the water. I remember sometime way back when I started in RMCL, somebody made this, that a big fish inquired two small fishes, how is the water or how is the ocean? And these two people, these two small young fishes started to wonder what is ocean, what is water. So it is with all of us that the objects which appear to the subject bewilder us, make us pursue them, rather totally forget the subject, which is through which alone that we can perceive everything. If we take it for granted, we get bewildered and carried away by the objects. And at all times when we do it, whenever the inquiry, the thought of the inquiry, to whom is this, comes from within, it comes from the Sadguru who is abiding in the heart in the form of a grace. And then and there, that inquiry makes us move away from the object, get back to the heart, and that is the excellent signpost, says Bhagavan here, which is assuring to all of us that it is going to end our outward flow. This grace of the Sadguru is something which comes running, helping us at every moment, pulling us back to that spirit, to that ocean, to that water which alone is. Bhagavan's Atma Vicharam, whenever Bhagavan says, whenever a thought rises, it is the foremost form of the object. he asks us to then and there inquire to whom is this thought. Then the answer would come, it is for me. This individual idea, concept, is hidden behind the thought that I am a limited being to this frame, makes me think, allows me to think. The thinker becomes available for inquiry. Then and there, Bhagavan asks us to inquire, who am I? Who is this I who is thinking? What do I refer to as I within me? Or where from this I thought and all these thoughts are rising within me? If we trace it back to the source, then and there, the grace of the Guru makes us abide in the heart, makes the salt doll become one with the ocean, lose all its differences, though momentarily it makes us happen. But Bhagavan assures, due to vasanas, we may again rise back with a new identity. But Bhagavan assures, with repeated practice, the mind will be absorbed in the heart, and the heart alone will shine, which alone shines as I am. Until such time, Bhagavan says that we should diligently inquire every rising thought of ours. With the immense grace of Bhagavan, with which we have come to this most direct path, which not only makes us aware of the object, but takes us to the heart, gives us the experience of the sage who is abiding in the heart, equivalent to that, more with every inquiry. So, with the immense grace of Bhagavan, for the next 10 minutes, no matter how many thoughts rise, whatever may be the nature of the thought, spiritual, good, bad, ugly, we should diligently inquire to whom is this. Thereupon we realize it is for me, and then inquire who am I, and trace the thought back to its source, or inquire what do we refer to as I within. And with that, Bhagavan assures that the mind will be taking a dip into the self, to the heart, and with repeated practice, it will gain enough strength to remain there. With the immense grace of Bhagavan, for the next 10 minutes, let us do Atma Vichara. Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Ramana. Thank you.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of Guru Stuti by Sri Venkatesh Deshpandeji.
Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviram Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Dhyanamoolam Gurormurti Pujamoolam Gurorpadam Mantramulam Gururvakyam Mokshamulam Gururkripa. Namo Ramana. We're doing manana on Srimad Shankara Digvijaya by Sri Vidyaranya. In the last satsang, we had that manana on verse number 3, which was just as wild horses are broken in by whipping and stabling them, also the unruly senses, straying among objects, are lashed by the whip of discrimination, showing that objects are unreal and are tethered by the rope of pure intellect to the self by the wise. Such is the truth that thou art. That was the verse number 3 that we had done manana on last time. We will do manana on verse number 4. I request Sapna to kindly chant the verse, please.
Yes, sir. व्यावृत्ता जाग्रदादिष्वनुस्यूतं तेभ्योऽन्यदिवा पुष्पेभ्या इव सूत्रम् इति यदौपाधिका त्रयपृथक्त्वेन विदन्ति सूरयस्तत्त्वमसि तत्त्वम् व्यावृत्ता जाग्रदादिष्वनुस्यूतम् तेभ्योऽन्यदिवा पुष्पेभ्य इव सूत्रम् इति यदौपाधिका त्रयपृथक्त्वेन विदन्ति सूरयस्तत्त्वमसि तत्त्वम्. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sapna. The truth has been ascertained by the wise to be the substratum which is different from the waking, dream, and deep sleep states. Its own expanded modes, which indeed are held together by it like the flowers strung together on a garland. Thou art that. Let's see what has additionally been said about this. Just as one carefully separates the thin and delicate thread of the lotus stalk from its enfolding fiber, so do the wise ones discriminate and separate the fourth, the turiya, from the three states of waking, dream, and sleep. And thou art that truth, the turiya. The Vedas declare all this is the Atman, with a view to show that all this effect world has no existence apart from their cause, the Atman. Just as the golden bracelets, head ornaments, etc., are forms of gold, so too is the Atman, the Supreme Spirit, the material cause of everything. Apart from him, the Supreme Cause, nothing exists, and thou art that Supreme Cause. So what is being spoken is about the fourth, which is the Turiya, which goes across the three states. So Turiya, or the fourth state, is that state in which the individual soul rests in his own Satchidananda, Swarupa, or the highest Brahmic consciousness during Samadhi. There are three states we know of, that is the Jagrat, Swapna and Shushupti, for a Jiva who is whirling in the mire of samsara. Turiya is that state which transcends all the three states. Hence Turiya, or the fourth. Turiya is Atman or Brahman. So Brahman is what? Satchit Ananda, or the embodiment of knowledge and bliss. He has no beginning or end. He is the cause of all causes. He is the shelter, support, and the Lord of for all. So the beautiful examples are given here. Languages are many, but the language of heart and the mental picture are one. Cows have many colors, but the color of the milk is one. Prophets are many, but he essentially of their teachings are one and the same. Schools of philosophy are many, but the goal is one. Opinions and methods of worship are many, but the Brahman or God is one. So that's one thing very important is being spoken about in this, is the oneness. Though we see diversity, though we see so many, we see languages, we see so many religions, we see so many philosophies, we see so many things that look so different, but finally what he says, that the worship are but the Brahman or God is one. So there are two parts in yoga to realize the self, namely the Pipalika Marga and the Vihanga Marga. Just as the ant slowly marches, so also the aspirant slowly marches on in this spiritual path. He practices Karma Yoga to purify his heart and then takes up Upasana to steady his mind. Finally, he treads the path of Jnana Yoga and eventually reaches the goal of life. This is Pipalika Marga, or the ant path. Just as the bird flies in the sky at once, so also the aspirant of the first class type at once practices Jnana Yoga and attains knowledge of the self. This is the Vihanga Marga, or the bird path. So there are two paths. So what do they say in this is withdraw the indriyas, meditate, live in the self. Your whole being will be uplifted into a kind of rapturous delight or mystic ecstasy. You will feel the divine thrill of joy. Wonderful peace will envelop you. You will be drowned in the ocean of bliss. All desires will melt into nothingness. All names and forms will vanish. You will behold the self only everywhere. This wonderful state is indescribable. You will have to feel it yourself. Just as the dumb man cannot express his feelings of joy when he tastes the sugar candy, so also you cannot express the bliss of samadhi or union with the Supreme Self. Words are finite, to describe this state. Language is imperfect to express this experience. It is the language of the supreme silence. It is the supreme stillness of the immortal soul. It is the peace that passeth all understanding. This is Turiya, or the fourth state. May Turiya be your center, ideal and goal. So this is a beautiful thing that is spoken about the Turiya state, the fourth, which is the underlying. It's like the all ornaments, or what is the underlying is the gold. All the waves that you see in the ocean, what is the underlying thing is water. So all the underlying of all the manifest, which is manifest from the unmanifest, is basically that Satchidananda Atman, which is that consciousness. Now we need to be able to dive deep within, breath controlled, and be firmly poised in the self. Once we go within and experience that silence within, you are in touch with that Satchidananda Atman. When you are in touch with that Satchidananda Atman, then what happens to the Nama and Rupa? The Nama and Rupa of the world vanishes because you are established in the silence within. Then when Nama Rupa, then nothing happens, nothing bothers you, because you are with the self. Your nature is happiness. To start living with yourself, because your nature is happiness, you experience that happiness. Today we are seeking happiness outside, in objects. It may be subtle objects, it may be gross objects, but finally everything that is there in the mind that we experience is just an object. So once we keep on doing self-inquiry and go to the source, then what happens? All these objects, these experiences, these external leanings that we have, which are falsely giving us a sense of security, falsely giving us a sense of having something which will give us happiness, will all drop away. And once all those drop away, then you are continuously with the self. And that's the purpose of this human life. So that's what this verse is about the fourth state, the Turiya state, which is Satchidananda Atman. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We'll now have the sharing of Jnana Vichara Padalam, Devi Kalotra Jnana Vichara Padalam by Dr. Kalarani Rangaswamy.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Arunachalamena Agame Ninepavar Agatte Veraruppai Arunachalam. Namo Ramana to all. With the abundance grace of Bhagavan, we are meditating on Devi Kalotra Jnana Vichara Padalam, very graciously given to us by Bhagavan in Tamil. And in the last Satsang we saw the fruits of all Pava Punya are not given immediately after the karma is being done. It waits for the appropriate time for giving the fruits for the relevant karma. Till then, it needs a platform to stay. Likewise, there are so many things, so many vishayas which make a man wonder about. Bhagavan says, thinking and wondering about these vishayas makes one bonded, makes one attached to the worldly things. This is very big samsara, samsaram. To come out of this state, one has to be very calm, not thinking of anything. Gurus keep on telling us the same thing. Why not we listen to him? Why not we try to understand that the worldly attachments and vasanas are going to give us only sorrow? In Appala Pattu, Bhagavan beautifully says, Ippuvidannil yengi tiriyamal Sadboda Suga Sadguruvaanavar Cheppadu Sonna Tattvam Ahira ஒப்புயர்வில்லா ஊர் மொழியின்படி. So listen to Sadhguru's words, and listening is also not enough. One has to practice it. In the next stanza, Bhagavan talks about the duality. He says, ஆச்சரியம் தொந்தம் என்று சொல்லப்படுமாம். ஆச்சரியம் தொந்தம் என்று சொல்லப்படுமாம். Whatever we see in the world and as paid for has duality. When we enjoy the happiness of eating jalebi, sorrow comes in the form of diabetics. When we develop the ichcha or desire for something and want to attain that, we hate what all comes in the way of attaining that. What all hindrance that come in the way for attaining that particular object which I desired for. When we desire for a very, very expensive bike, which I may not be able to afford, first thing, I try a lot by all means to get that bike. If it is not possible, the first thing, I hate the shopkeeper for charging a very high amount. I hate the company who quotes such a high price. I hate my manager who is not giving me a salary hike every 6 months. At least I hate myself who cannot afford to buy that bike. The extreme case is I start hating the bike itself, which I loved a lot sometimes before. Again, when we search for a particular thing, say for example, junk food, we discard our traditional food. There is duality. When we are with our loved ones, maybe it may be our pets, we feel so happy when we are with them. But when they depart from us and go from us forever, we feel the sorrow. Bhagavan says, all these are duals. They cannot be separated. When one is experienced, the other comes automatically of its own without any invitation. We cannot keep something which only we feel for us and say no to the opponent. Both has to be experienced. So, because of this wonder in the world, we experience only sorrow. The happiness got from them cannot be forever. So Bhagavan says, Advandam vida param tondrume. Only when one cross beyond all this duality, the self will shine of its own. The truth will be seen. In that state, the jiva can experience the mukti, and only when jiva attains the state of mukti, it can abide in the Paramatma Swarupa. So Bhagavan says, the yogi who focus only for the state of mukti should come out of these structures of duality, which makes the jiva bonded or attached to the worldly things. So that yogi becomes jivan mukta, who do not have any attachments towards the worldly objects. Till he is in the sarira, the body, he is called jivan mukta. When he is relieved from the body, he is videka mukta. The person who, even though with the body but with no body consciousness, is jivan mukta. Deha தியாகத்தால் அன்று விதேக முக்தன் ஆவான். ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ ரமணாய.
Namo Ramana. We now have the sharing of Sri Ramana Ashtottara Shatanamavali by Dr. Shada Natarajan.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self, shining as Ramana, we are in this satsang meditating on the Ramana Ashtottaram, the namas of Vishwanatha Swami's Ramana Ashtotram, each of which is describing Bhagavan's glory in a unique manner. 108 names. And in these 108 names, we are now on the twin namas. We have actually completed Pitrapadan Veshine Namaha, and we are meditating on the verse Pituradeshataha Shonashailam Praptaya Namaha. Bhagavan has arrived at Arunachala. That was on the 1st of September 1896. If this 1st September comes, the 125th year of this celebration of his coming to Arunachala will be completed, and we would enter the 126th year. Such a glorious moment we saw. The young boy, he has come. He came to Arunachala after an arduous journey. The first time he has left home on his own. And he did not have sufficient money. He could not get food on the way very comfortably. Somehow he has managed to reach Arunachala. And he is actually dragged there. In fact, by what? By the command. Pitur adeshataha shonashailam praptaha. By the command. And how did the command operate? The command operated like a huge magnet pulling an iron filing to itself. Rangan, his classmate, later told him, many years later when Rangan met Bhagwan, he told him, Bhagwan, we were such close friends. Why didn't you tell me? You could have shared the secret with me. See, even when something is very secret, usually it is shared with a friend. Something very secretive, but we would feel like sharing it with a friend. We may not share it if they are youngsters, they may not share it with the parents, they may not share it with people in the position of authority. But something is very close to your heart, you usually feel like sharing it with a friend. So why didn't you share it with me? And then Bhagavan said, did I pack my clothes like a regular traveler and set off on a journey? I was just pulled by the current. So that current pulled him, brought him to its feet, opened the doors of the temple as it were, and swept him towards itself. And he embraced the Arunachala Linga and said, Father, I have come. He reported to him, literally reported to him, saying, now it's up to you. Whatever you feel like doing with this person here who has come, you do, because you asked me to come, I have come. My task is finished. Further, you can do what you wish to. He didn't express it so far in so many words, but many biographers do give expression to it in that way, saying Unnishtam Yannishtam. Bhagavan has said that in one of his compositions, Ninnittam Yannittam Yenbadak Yennuir Iraye. Therefore, with poetic license, the biographers do say that Bhagavan actually said it over there. But the original biographer, V.V. Narasimha Swami, records what probably Bhagavan would have shared with him, because V.V. Narasimha Swami got most of the details from Bhagavan directly. And who else could have spoken about all this? Who else can give us the details about all these days in his life? Who knew about his journey? Who knew about his first day at Arunachala other than Bhagavan himself? So Bhagavan has given testimony to it, to V.V. Narasimha Swami. And he has said, Father, I have come. That is what he reported. And he says that from that moment, after reporting to Arunachala, the fever which was burning in his body left him. It was that fever after he got the enlightenment, after that day at Madurai, 17th of July, when he faced death and he became enlightened. there was a fever in his body, and he said that he thought he had developed some very sweet disease, some very blissful disease. He never knew what it was to be in self-abidance. It is later that he read about self-knowledge, about Atma Vidya, everything came to him later. So he felt it was some sweet disease, but it was there, the fever was there. And his chitti, his younger aunt, maternal aunt, she would often wonder what was ailing him. And he used to say, I have a kind of a headache. He was not able to describe the problem, but it left him the moment he reported to Arunachaleshwara, Father, I have come. And then what did he do? He went outside the temple, and as soon as he went outside the temple, see, there was nobody around the temple. That's what we have been told. That it was empty, the doors were open, and he had gone in, reported, and he's coming out, and there is this barber over there. Where did the barber come from? In a place which was empty, but there were all people. When Bhagwan has come out of the temple, normally, as there is normal visitors are there, the barber is there, he sees this young boy coming out with a tuft of glorious black hair, beautiful black hair. Bhagwan had thick black hair, a tuft, because he was a young Brahmin boy, so he would have had a shikha. And the barber asks him, do you want your head shaved? Why would he ask him such a question? It's just a young boy who is coming out of the temple, a lad of 16. But this is a question being asked of him. And Bhagwan says, yes. He's taken to Ayyankulam. There's a tank a little far away from the temple, which is where there is one agraharam over there, one set of houses. And there his head is shaven. And he thinks to himself, there is no need to have a bath. After the head is shaven, normally a bath is taken. He's not worried about that. What does he do? He throws into the Ayyankulam everything that he has with him, which includes his clothing, apart from wearing a loin cloth. He tears off a piece of cloth from his dhoti and wears it as a loin cloth. Now, where did Bhagwan learn all this? It comes spontaneously to him. This is said to be the process of taking sannyasa. Sorry. The head is shaven, a loin cloth is torn from this dhoti and worn. That's what he did. And the third, one more process which is involved is the throwing away of the sacred thread, and Bhagavan threw away his sacred thread also. He had with him little bit of money left after buying the ticket. He threw away that money, whatever money he had with him, he threw it away, and he threw away this packet of sweets which was given to him by that lady of the house the previous day. In Muthu Krishna Bhagavata's house, he had been given 2 meals and he had been given a packet of sweets. It was the Naivedyam to Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna had already eaten it in the night. The Naivedyam was done. Similarly, he had also probably eaten it just like when Krishna ate it, he must have eaten it. Because the lady of the house saw him as Sri Krishna. And it also struck me that just as Sri Krishna was prevented by Rukmini from taking the third mouthful of beaten rice offered by his friend Uchela, Sudhama, even so, Providence did not allow this young boy to eat those sweets. He could have eaten it on the way, but he had no thought and he had no hunger. After that point, when he went to Ruthukrishna Bhagavata's house, he didn't have hunger also. He never had the thought. See, whenever the thought of food arose, only he asked for it and ate. Even along the journey, we see that first he was hungry. He bought himself a couple of prickly pears and he ate one, and then his hunger was satiated. He didn't eat the other. Then he was hungry the next morning in Virupuram. He waited for his food at that hotel and he ate his meal. And then that night, having gone part of the way by train and walked a long way, he asked for food at Ariyanallur. Then again, he was taken to the Kirur temple. He asked for food there, and though food was refused at the temple drummer gave him food. And he was about to eat it when it spilled on the road, and he ate some of it from the road and slept. And the next morning, he had one meal early in the morning. As soon as he went to the Muthukrishna, as soon as he entered Muthukrishna Bhagavata's house, he was given the old food and then the regular meal before he pledged his earrings and took money for the journey. But he did not eat in the night. He was not hungry. The next morning, he has come to Arunachala, reached only by noon, and still he has not reported any hunger. He might have, if he felt hungry, he might have reported it. He might have asked for food. He could have eaten the sweets on the way. The packet of sweets was available with him if he had gotten hungry in the night or even early morning. But no, that was not eaten. And since it was not eaten, since it was remaining with him, he threw it away into the Ayyankulam tank along with everything else, just as he threw away the money. Later, Bhagwan would never accept any offering of money. Thereafter, any devotee came, they would offer food to him at times. Jataram samaye paripurayata, says Ganapati Muni. At the right time, he would fulfill his hunger, just when there was hunger. It was not that he ate because of the taste for it. He ate when hunger arose, as much as was needed, and very often it was only one meal in a day. So he was not worried about food also, but food he would accept. One of the devotees offered, was some new visitor was going to offer some money, and the ashram authority said, no, you can't offer money to Bhagwan. Then he asked Bhagwan, how is it that when people offer you fruits or maybe dry fruits or something to eat, you're accepting it, but you're not accepting money? Bhagwan said, I can't eat money. So he threw away the money, and after that he never did touch money, never accepted any money, but he did take food offerings. So why did Bhagavan at that point of time throw away the food offerings? It is also the fact that during the Upanayanam, after the Upanayanam, the Vatu goes to a house and asks for the first Bhiksha. We know of Adi Shankara going to that house where that lady of the house had nothing to offer. And she was feeling so sad and so ashamed because that Vatu on that day has to eat what is given in that first house, and that alone, nothing else. That was the niyama, that was the rule, that was the injunction which was followed in those days. And she had one old, slightly rotten, maybe, just getting ripe, slightly overripe, or one gooseberry which she offered to that young boy. That was the first bhiksha, which Adi Shankara accepted and blessed the lady of the house, singing Kanakadhara, blessed her with a downpour of golden namalakas, golden gooseberries. Here also, he had renounced this young boy had renounced. Now, the first bhiksha, he would get it only from Arunachaleshwara, not anything which he was carrying with him earlier. Everything that was being carried was surrendered, was given away without a second thought. That if I keep this food with me, I will have something for the next meal. If I keep this money with myself, I will have something for another meal or two. So, complete surrender with no thought of what is going to be forthcoming. And very often Bhagavan has recalled in later years what a beautiful experience was his when Arunachaleshwara gave him the first bhiksha. That was old, many days old food with a little bit of sour pickle in a slightly rusted can, offered by a Mauni sadhu at the Arunachaleshwara temple, offered through his disciples to the young boy. And I think that was not on that day. So 2 days he was absolutely in silence, and he was also fasting. He had not eaten anything after Muthukrishna Bhagavata's house, the food, and he had surrendered everything, and he was simply lost in bliss. And it started pouring. Rain came. But first, before he went back to the temple, a small downpour came only for him, bathed him alone for his having shaven his head. He said, why all this for this body? But the heavens decided to follow that injunction and be blessed. The rain became blessed by pouring down on him alone, and then that night and for several days thereafter it rained in the drought-ridden Tiruvannamalai area, blessing the entire land, blessing everybody, bringing the plenty, bringing new life to everyone. The harbinger, the Bhagavan, is the giver of true life to every one of us. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of Ramanacentre by Sri Ujjwal Jagadish.
Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. We were meditating on the verses from Ramanacentre written by Ganapati Muni and which has been compiled in this format by Bhagavan Shri Ramana himself. Vairagyam tava vittamastu karunam shaknoshi hatum katam Dushastestu samudyama pitripada dhyanam cha kim tadrisham Kamastestu vigarhito vinamatam raksha cha kim garhitam Skanda chagma manushya kim nu samayam Kanchet samudvikshase Ramanaya Loka Gurave Namaha Ramanaya Loka Gurave Namaha Duram Yahi Kuvada Dharma Vrishate Neta Parapanguta Durbrante Bhuvanam Jahi Parito Vardasva Samsatsata Sodaryena Samanvito Bhuvamimam Prapto Guru Gramani Shuranta Puranetra Vibramaharo Devo Bhavani Sutaha Ramanaya Loka Gurave Namaha रमणाय लोकगुरवे नमः ವೈರಾಗ್ಯಾನಿನನಿಧಿಯಾಗಿರಲಿ ಕರುಣೆಯ ತೊರೆವುದು ಸರಿಯೇ ನಿಂದಿಸಲರ್ಹವಾಗಿರಲಿ ಸ್ವಯತ್ನವು ತಂದೆ ಅಡಿ ಧ್ಯಾನ ಆಗಿರಲು ಸಾಧ್ಯವೇ ಕಾಮವು ತಿರಸ್ಕರಿಸಲರ್ಹವು ಭಕ್ತರ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ತಿರಸ್ಕರಿಸಬಹುದೇ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಛದ್ಮದರ ಸ್ಕಂದನೆ ಯಾವ ಸುಸಮಯಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾದಿರುವೆ ರಮಣನಿಗೆ ಲೋಕ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ ರಮಣನಿಗೆ ಲೋಕ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ ದೂರ ಸರಿ ಕುವಾದವೆ ಧರ್ಮ ವೃಷಭ ಕುಂಟದೆ ಸ್ಥಿರವಾಗಿ ನಿಲ್ಲಲಿದೆ ದುರ್ಭ್ರಾಂತಿಯು ಭುವನವ ಬಿಡಲಿ ಸಜ್ಜನರ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ವೃದ್ಧಿಸಲಿ ಸೋದರನ ಕೂಡಿ ಭುವಿಗಿಳಿದಿಹನು ಗುರು ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠನು ಸೂರನ ಮಡದಿಯರ ಕಂಡ ವಿಲಾಸ ಹರಿದ ದೇವನು ಭವಾನಿ ಸುತನು ರಮಣನಿಗೆ ಲೋಕ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ ರಮಣನಿಗೆ ಲೋಕ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ. In these verses, Ganapati Muni was telling, oh, Subramanya, who has come in the human form, why are you delaying your coming? What has happened? Maybe this passion, vairagya, is the great wealth that you possess, but is it right for you to not show karuna, compassion on your devotees? They say that swayam yatna is to have the self-effort with the feeling that I am doing the work. The doership is said to be blameworthy, but the doership of turning towards the Supreme Father's feet, which is the self, even that has to be given up. And then he says, the desire is the source of sorrow. But for you to have the desire to protect your devotees, do you think even that has to be given up? Oh, Subramanya in the human form, quickly come. Why are you delaying? Are you waiting for some good auspicious time to come? And then in the next verse, he is declaring to the whole world, my prayers are heard. And Ramana, who is none other than the Subramanya in the human form, he is coming down. So be aware, Yacharika, when the Raja is coming, the soldiers, they announce that Raja, the Raja, Maharaja is coming. So be alert and be alert and welcome the king, and they tell the glory of the king. In that way, in this verse, Ganapati Muni is singing the glory of the Jnana Chakravarti, Vairagya Chakravarti, Bhagavan Ramana, and he is telling that he is making this Gosha, saying that, hey Kuvada, for no, the debate which does not have any meaning, the meaningless debate and discussions, get away, go away, because the Vrishabha of Dharma, the bull of Dharma, the righteousness, is now ready to stand on all the four legs. It is not going to limp and be lame anymore. It is going to stand. It is told that this Dharma is seen as a bull. And the bull of Dharma, in the Satya Yuga, it was standing on all the four legs. But in the next Yuga, in the Treta Yuga, it was standing on 3 legs. And in the Dwapara Yuga, it is just told that Dharma, Vrishabha, the bull of righteousness, it is standing only on 2 legs. And in Kali Yuga, it is only standing on 1 leg. That bull of Dharma. And Ganapati Muni is telling now the Satya Yuga is going to come again, because the Guru Shrestha, the master of all masters, a great jnani, he is coming. So the Dharma Vrishabha is ready to stand on all the four legs. It is not going to be lame and it's not going to limp. It is going to stand firmly on all the four legs. And he continues, oh Bhranti, Durbhranti, oh delusion. It is now, time has come for you to go away. And the Sajjana, the Sadhakas, the seekers of truth and great tapasvis, their number is going to increase because Guru Shrestha is coming. And who is he coming with? He is coming with his brother Sodhara Ganapati, and both of them are going to come down to earth and show their divine Leela. We all know that Ganapati Muni was the avatara, was the Amsha Sambhuta of Ganapati. And Bhagavan Ramana is Mahasena Mahomshena Jataya Namaha, one who was the Amsha, Purnamsha of the Mahasena Subramanya. And they both are coming together on the earth in the same time period, so that with their Leela, they can reveal to the whole world the glorious method of getting back to the source of the I thought and abiding in the self, which is true tapas. And the Ganapati and Subramanya are going to play the Leela of giving us the sweet name Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. And Ganapati and the Leela of his interactions with Subramanya as Ramana, it is going to bring us the Ramana Gita, the Uma Sahasram, and also the work that we are meditating on, the Ramanacentre. So both the brothers are coming down to the earth. So now the poetically he says, the one who killed the Sura Padman, the Rakshasa Sura, the one who killed him. But poetically Ganapati Muni says, he's a Kavya Kanta Ganapati Muni. He, in his poetical beauty, he describes that the Surantapura, okay, the wives who are rejoicing in the Antapura of the Sura, and they were rejoicing the glory, the Vilasa of Sura. And this Deva, Subramanya, who is going to come, he is going to end the Leela that these wives in Antapura of Sura, they are enjoying the beauty and the glory of this Asura, Sura Padman. And that is going to get destroyed because Bhavani Sutta has come, the Subramanya, who is none other than the son of Mother Bhavani Uma. He has come and everything is going to be beautiful and wonderful. And he says, get alert, be awake and arise, because the Guru Shrestha is coming. This is the Gosha, the announcement that Ganapati Muni is doing, welcoming the coming of the great Guru Graminaha, the master of all the masters, Bhagavan Ramana. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We will have the chanting of Aksharamana Male by Srimati V. Radha and Vallabh Srinivasan.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. வீடு விட்டீர் துள விடுப்புக்கு பயவுன் வீடு கட்டினை அருள் அருணாச்சலா. வெளிவிட்டேன் உன் செயல் வெறுத்திடாதுன் அருள் வெளிவிட் என்னை கா அருணாச்சலா. வேதாந்தத்தை அகத்தே வேரற விளங்கும் வேத பொருளருளருணாச்சலா வைதலை வாழ்த்தா வைத்தருட்குடிய வைத்தென்னை விடாதருளருணாச்சலா அம்புவிலாலி போல் அன்புரு உன்னில் என்னை அன்பா கரை தருளருணாச்சலா அருணகின்றென்னையனருள் கண்ணிப்பட்டேன் உன்னருள் வல்லை தப்புமோ அருணாச்சலா சிந்தி தருள் பட சிலந்தி போல் கட்டி சிறையீட்டுண்டெனை அருணாச்சலா அன்போடு நாமம் கேளன்பர் தம் அன்பரு கண்பனாயிட அருள் அருணாச்சலா என் போலும் தீனர இன்புற காத்து நீ என்னாலும் வாழ்ந்தருள் அருணாச்சலா என் ஊரு கண்பர்த்தம் என் சொற்கொள் செவியும் என் பொன்மொழி கொள அருள் அருணாச்சலா பொறுமையாம் ஊதர புன் சொல்லை நன் சொல்ல பொறுத்தருள் இஷ்டம் பின் அருணாச்சலா மாலை அளித்தருணாச்சல ரமண என் மாலை அணிந்த அருள் அருணாச்சலா மாலை அளித்தருணாச்சல ரமண என் மாலை அணிந்த அருள் அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி அக்ஷரமண மாலை வாழி நமோ ரமணா.
Namo Ramana. We'll conclude today's satsang with the Ashtottara Puja to Bhagavan. The Ashtottara Puja will be performed by Shri Dilip Simha at his altar. Ashtottara chanting will be done by Vaibhavji and Prarthana and Revathi Shankar.
नमो रमण भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्मि मात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। ॐ हंसेन महंसेन जाताय नमः। ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः। ॐ गुरवे नमः। ॐ अखण्ड संविदाकाराय नमः। ॐ महौजसे नमः। ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः। ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः। ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः। ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः। ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः। ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः। ॐ सहायवते नमः। ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः। ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः। ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः। ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः। ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः। ॐ तीव्राय नमः। ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः। ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः। ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः। ॐ तपोमयाय नमः। ॐ उदासीनाय नमः। ॐ महायोगिने नमः। नमः ॐ कुशाग्रधिये नमः ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंब्रह्माय नमः ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः ॐ सवित्रे नमः ॐ स्थिराय नमः ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः ॐ चूर्णिकाखिलविभ्रमाय नमः ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः ॐ त्रिगुणातीताय नमः ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः ॐ विराजदशलाकृतये नमः ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः ॐ पूर्णाय नमः ॐ रसिताचलताण्डवाय नमः ॐ गम्भीराय नमः ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः ॐ दक्षिणास्यनिभाय नमः ॐ वीराय नमः ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः ॐ स्वराजे नमः ॐ महर्षये नमः ॐ भगवते नमः ॐ वीर्याय नमः
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः ॐ विमलाय नमः ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः ॐ आप्ताय नमः ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः ॐ समदृशे नमः ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः ॐ सत्याय नमः ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः ॐ श्रीशोणाचलहृद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्नसंशयाय नमः ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः ॐ सौम्याय नमः ॐ आत्मवते नमः ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः ॐ महाभागाय नमः ॐ मातृमुक्तिविदायकाय नमः ॐ विनताय नमः ॐ विनुताय नमः ॐ विप्राय नमः ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः ॐ दर्शनादघसंहारिणे नमः ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः ॐ हृच्छान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः ॐ स्मरणाद्बन्धमोचकाय नमः ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्ट्रे नमः ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः ॐ गुहाय नमः ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः ॐ भवरोगभिषग्वराय नमः ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः ॐ देवतमाय नमः ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः ॐ सेनान्ये नमः ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः ॐ श्रीरमणभगवते नमः श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामपूजां समर्पयामि यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्य तद् दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाहविवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संज्ञे सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಘಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರಣ ನಮೋ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ ನಮೋ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಘಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರಣ ನಮೋ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ नमो महर्षि। बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की जय।